Hello, everybody. This is Jim Feist in Las Vegas, and for the first time, I'm really honored to be joined by Richie Baccellieri. They call him Mr. Right Number. This is a gentleman that has the experience and knowledge from both sides of the fence. That's unusual because there aren't that many people that are successful at making the lines and then eventually, because they made the lines, they become better at crushing the lines later on in life. Richie, I'm really honored to have you on here with me, and welcome aboard.
Hey, Jim, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you for those kind words. You know, guys like you and I, when I started in this business, you know, Jim Feist, man. You got to be like Jim Feist. And here I am 30 years later. I've been, working, doing this side of the counter, and just hope I do okay for my customers.
Well, you do. I mean, I'm just on a short stroke in the preseason. I think you've started out very, very well. You had some recent winners. I know you had the Vikings and a couple others you might want to talk about, but, you know, we talked about it a little bit coming before we got on air. You do a lot of work in college, preparing for college. We all know the preseason is the type of thing where bookmakers will take a $3,000 bet in regular season, but only a $500 or $1,000 in preseason because the numbers are just not solid and it's kind of a guessing game. But the bookmakers are sharper than the players most of the time anyway. But the sharps, the real sharps out there, they can pick you apart. So you have to be a little careful.
Well, you know, nobody's sharper than the sharpest players that are out there. And Nevada knows just exactly who I'm talking about. As long as the lines are made by humans, the lines are susceptible to errors. As long as the lines are put up first by the offshore sports books, which they still are, you know, you never know exactly what they're thinking when they're posting their numbers and everybody follows. You know, come the regular season, you know, making pro numbers for betting for it is fairly easy. But the preseason's obviously more difficult. The games, the quarterback, you don't know the length of time that they're going to play. When you get into second and third stringers, you know, very difficult to gauge their performances. It really comes down to the same old thing. You got to get a good number. You know, I got fortunate to play the Ravens in the first game, and I laid one at close 3. I went over 33, become 33, and I don't think I ever had a double push, but I started out the game close to go. You got to get the good number. But I've been turned around and I followed again with Harbaugh. I guess he likes to cover in these preseason games for some reason. And they blew out whoever they blew out. I had it in that game too.
Yeah, that was against the Rams.
Yeah, that was the Rams, and what I would have said was a long travel trip, a who cares game. They're all who cares games. Some are more who cares than others, and then I thought the Vikings were a little bit more motivated into the game. You got to get lucky. You got to get lucky. You know, you're laying 11 to 10, and you got to get lucky. It's a difficult proposition, and that's why sometimes it's better off other people doing the work for you and getting plays, and you know that's what I'm here for, trying to provide winners. And I bet all these games, so I got to win, not necessarily to eat, but I got to win because it feels good.
Well, it does feel good, and like you, I've always bet anything that I give out to my clients because if it's good enough to give out, it's good enough to bet on, and that's worked out for me for almost 50 years, 48 years in the business.
Wow, long time.
Yeah, well, I'm long in the tooth now, but I'm still going. I'm still cranking them out. We had a good week last week, a couple good days this week in baseball. You know, it's what do you have going forward for not only the preseason but regular season, and how do people get a hold of you if they want to get involved with you this season?
Well, you know, I'm affiliated with VegasSportsMasters.com, and the gentleman gave me an opportunity a few years ago and said, as long as I pick winners, I can stick around. And VegasSportsMasters.com, 6 years later, I'm still there. So he hasn't dumped me yet. So I guess I'm doing okay because you dump me is as good as your last pick. That's all you are. But I went 4-0 last week and I lost the game today. No, you got to go 5-0. I'm like, I'll do my best.
Well, I gave out a play to somebody a couple of weeks ago and it lost. And the guy writes me back a note and he said, "You suck." I didn't respond to it, but the next 4 games they all won. So he's 4-1, but I got no note. I didn't get a text saying, "Oh, that's great" or anything. I only got the note on the one loss that I gave him.
Yeah, I get that too, and I got people asking me for stuff, and they want one game, and I said, you know what, I'm much better than 3 or 5. One is tough. And, a lot of the big syndicates, they're playing multiple games too. I mean, yeah, they're going heavy on 3 or 5 games, but I think some of the bigger groups play 20 or 25 sides on a college football Saturday. Now, granted, some of them are smoke screens. Some of them are very small plays. They hit the screen and they move the number, and everybody says, "Oh, this guy's got this game," but they don't realize that it don't mean anything when you go to the screen. So, at the end of the day, the percentages are going to get there, and you're going to make the money if you do the work, but maybe not on one game.
That's absolutely right. You can be wrong on 1 and right on 4, and you want to play the percentages. If you have an edge in the game, you should put something on it. Maybe some edges are bigger than others, and some are illusions. If it gets too big, you have to scratch your head and say, "Well, what does that mean?" It's a bad number. My handicap is bad. One or the other. So you got to be careful with it. Richie, you spent years taking and making lines, and because you did that, I feel personally, because you did that and you're so good at making numbers, that really helps you in beating the numbers and finding the good number.
It basically helps you find the good numbers. It's become a little bit, just a sixth sense for me to be able to look at college games. And if I showed you the ratings and the paper that I worked on, you'd laugh, because it's all very old school. Paper and pencil, notes and injuries, and the ratings across the page, left to right. Very old school. But I have a nice feel for it, and I look at games, and I'm able to provide numbers that I feel are better than the numbers being posted. And, when you get the good numbers, every time you lay 7 on a game that closes 10, or you lay 4 on a game that closes 6, it increases your chances of winning so greatly. So if you can figure on the right side, and you got the best of the number, it's difficult not to come out at about 55%. Now, there's a lot to talk about handicappers going 60 and 70, and the short term is certainly possible. But over the long term, if you can maintain 55%, which is, it's 11 out of 20. All right, that doesn't sound very hard, but it is. But if you can stay in that range, then you're profitable. And as long as you're profitable, that you ain't bust. And if you ain't bust, you can keep playing. So I do feel like I have a slight advantage in college football and college basketball. We've talked before about the NFL, the less teams you got to look at. I prefer looking at a wider range of scores and hope maybe somebody doesn't look as close to me to know that maybe there's a couple of offensive linemen that are banged up, on the team with a drop-back quarterback. You look at maybe the Iowa, the media today, the Iowa suspensions for their defensive kids against Northern Illinois in the first game. That's out there. You can't, when the games are posted so far in advance. When you go week to week, if you can dig and do a little work, you can find some edges. And the edges can be the difference between 52 or 50% or 54 and 55%, which is the difference between a losing player and a winning player.
Absolutely. We talked a little bit before we went on the air. We talked a little bit about the contests that are out there. And the biggest one in town is the Westgate, which I've been in a number of times, and so have you. They're probably going to top 4,000 players this year at $1,500 in entry. And probably the winner will probably walk away with close to $2 million, if not $2 million. Last year the winner got $1.3 million. It's tough when you're going up. You use the term dead money. I have played a lot of World Series of Poker and poker events, and there's always dead money in there, and that increases your chances of winning. However, when there's more people in it, that also increases the number of people that can get lucky. So you pointed out something to me that was very interesting. When you have 4,000 players, the first week alone, you're going to have 100 people or 80 people that are going to go 5-0 because there's 5 games picked every week. And then the second week, you might get 3 to 5 of those people going 5-0 again. So right off the bat, you're dealing with people that are 9-1, 8-2, and a couple of them are going to be 10-0. And if you're not in there like a jackrabbit and doing well as well, you got yourself a big hole to dig out of.
Yeah, that's the problem. A few years ago, I managed to, going into week 17, I was in 3rd place, and I could have played very conservative, and I ended up going 2-3 the last week, playing on some some injury teams, and I got bad numbers because I really wanted to win the thing. I ended up finishing 9th, but since then, the last couple of years, I started out very slow in them, and I had no chance. I mean, 2 years ago, I think the guy was like 22-3 after 5 weeks. That was, you mentioned that the guy won 70% bet. I mean, you can't beat that. And you're right. Don't matter how much dead money is in those things. And believe me, there's quite a bit of dead money. The contests are great. We all want to gamble. We all like watching football. We all want to bet. We want to win. And these contests are fun because you got a chance. Everyone's got to play 5 games every week, and it's great contest. But at the end of the day, you got to be lucky. You got to start out good, and it's hard to fade 70%. Let me tell you.
Well,
I started looking at that guy's picks too near the end of the year.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't take all of them, but I tell you what, when I matched up with him as hot as he was, I win. I mean, there's no doubt. I follow a hot guy. Why wouldn't you?
Oh, we all do that. If you get somebody get a hot hand, you want to be there. I mean, that was a group of 4 guys. I think it was 4 guys, and they had all went to school together or something like that. And they lived in different parts of the country, and they were matching up on the phone, picking their games, and everybody would pick one or whatever. However they did it, and they hit over 70%. Nobody does that. I mean, I've been in that contest. And I've hit over 63%, 63.4, 63.6. And both cases, I did not cash because, well, first of all, they were only paying 25 places at that point. So I came in 1 or 2 out of the money. Then they increased it to 50 places. And this year they got it up to 100 places. But there's going to be 4,000 people in the event. It's a great contest. It's a lot of fun. The Westgate does a great job. The management over there does a fantastic job putting it all together, but it is tough to overcome that random variance of luck that's involved in the game. Definitely.
A shout out. You're right. A shout out to Jay and his guys in there, Jeff and Ed, John. I mean, they are the sharpest guys in town behind the counter. They do a tremendous job not only with the contest, but with their menu of sports that they use. They're pretty fearless. Nobody's ever going to get something moving on them. And I just, there's so few books that are run that way anymore. And both of those guys, the 3 of those guys, they've been doing it almost 30 years each. I mean, I knew when they were kids, when I was running the book at Caesars, they're just a couple of years younger than me, I think. But they were at the Imperial Palace under Kurt Brooks back in the 89, 90, 91. And, they were just starting out. And you saw what they did with that place. They became the prop kings of the world, and they still are. Many of the props that are out there today, these guys came up with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty strong. A lot of people don't realize it.
They expanded the prop business immensely. It's amazing what they do.
Yeah, they use my software for their super contest. It's the self-service kiosk that the customer puts in the picks on a kiosk. And unfortunately, I promised them the contest mobile app this year that you can see right on your mobile app, but I couldn't deliver it. We ran out of time and had some things come up with the state of Jersey sports betting, and that's where I'm at right now. So I ran out of time, but I guarantee you that the start of the year, they're going to be doing more contests on the mobile app than I did.
That's fantastic. Before we close, is there anything you want to cover that, I know you're with VegasSportsMasters.com. I sell picks on there as well. I'm also on JimFeist.com naturally. So is there a phone number that people can call if they want to?
Oh, well, I'm sure you took a phone number better than me, Jim.
Well, I really don't, actually, but I see one on your, there's a RichieB.wins.com. I don't know if that's still active. And there's an 888 number there, 546-4875. I don't know if they're active numbers or not, but Richie B wins at .com or VegasSportsMasters.com. Richie Baccellieri, the man that doesn't make bad numbers and knows how to beat numbers. You're all cranked up and ready for college football. Is there any sleepers out there that people should keep their eyes on?
It's probably a little early for sleepers. I'm down to the Sun Belt. I do it conference by conference, and every conference takes me about a week. I'm down with the Sun Belt. I'm glancing through some of my numbers now, and the nice thing about the college foots, the quarterbacks are back. They're good QBs. They bring back good teams and offensive lines, and you look at their ratings from previous years and see how they went up and down. And I like this Florida Atlantic again this year. I liked them last year. They started off slow, so I kind of backed off. But then I was on them at the end. They covered a ton of games. It's going to be interesting to see this Oklahoma with Mayfield gone. They got this kid. I can't think of his name offhand, Kyler Murray or something. And, he's a baseball player. He's a dual sport. And, they lose the best quarterback they ever had in history. And I think I dropped their rating only 2 points for this kid.
Wow.
So it's going to be interesting. Right off the bat, they put Florida Atlantic. So I'm looking at that game. It's a great time of the year. I like this coach at Washington. I liked him when he was in Boise. He's been around for about 3 or 4 years up there. And I think he started out slow his first year, and he won his last 3. And since then, I think he's like 25-5 and 25-3 the last 2.5 years. And I like them a lot again this year. They bring back that quarterback that Browning or something. I really don't care too much about the game itself for the kids. I mean, I like to gamble and I like to watch it. But, knowing all the names and the players, that stuff is, that's when you do that when you're 20, not when you're 53.
Knowing the names of the players is not going to make you any extra money. That's for sure. But
no, the West Virginia kid's really good. This Greer looks very exciting this year. I think West Virginia's going to give them a run in the Big 12. And I think Oklahoma's won that thing 3 years in a row. I don't know. We got a new team. We got Liberty on the board. With the number against Old Dominion already looks a little light. We've got to do work on schools like Liberty coming out of the Big South. First year on the board here in Vegas. And they open up against Old Dominion. Old Dom at Liberty opened like 4.5. It's up to 6.5. I think I laid 5.5 on the flyer just to see how high it gets. Sometimes that's the games too that, I know I'm just going to, dump and get rid of. It gives me a little bit more of a feel when I read the box score and know when I either won or lost money. That's another little thing I do.
Yeah.
It's hard to handicap. Because objectively, if you didn't have a dime on the game and you didn't get beat, sometimes I think my best ratings come on games, ratings adjustments on games when I lose them and when I win them.
Well, that's because you learn more from pain than you do from pleasure, right?
Very good.
Well, Richie, this has been a lot of fun. I hope we get to do this again sometime soon. Richie B wins VegasSportsMasters.com for Richie's plays, and my plays are there too, and JimFeist.com as well for my plays. But we do this every week. Richie, I hope you have time to do it more often. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it, Jim. I look forward to making this a little bit more of a regular weekly meeting.
Thank you much, buddy.